Hello, everyone. It's Mon Mothma's HoloNet. We're just posting on it. Welcome back to Mothma News and our 50-day countdown to Andor. Today, our guest is. Would you like to introduce yourself and our topic today?
Yes. My name is Beth, and our topic is Dedra Meero, our queen.
Pretty great topic.
Either.
She's going through it. The ISB. I can't remember when I'm putting this episode out, but we also have an episode on the ISB that I did with Charles from Gold Squadron Gaze, which either has come out when this is being posted or will be coming out. So spoilers in advance. And we were just like, Dedra's going through it. She's having a time, and it's not great because she's the only one in the ISB with the clarity of purpose.
That is I think it is startling to see somebody in the Empire who is competent, and that's what makes her, in addition to obviously fully embracing the fascist ideology, which is horrible, as we know. It's really, really bad to see somebody who is actually competent at this, has that logical force behind it.
Yeah.
And this is the first time we've really seen that, because even with Krennic, like, yes, Krennic is competent, but we saw a lot of the bureaucratic frustration and kind of those moments where he's like, oh, Tarkin. But this is the first character who's like really getting stuff done.
Yeah. Yeah, she is an active threat to the rebellion in a way that a lot of Imperials aren't. Like, brain power wise, I do think she's probably like up there with Tarkin. She could overtake, I think, Yularen and Partagaz and run the ISB. Do I want that future for her? Yeah, I want her to be part of that power struggle post Death Star go boom, because I just know she would be so terrifying in that role.
She'd be ruthless, and it would be, there is a power vacuum. That's like the big faults in the Empire, is that there's no one after Death Star times. Fingers crossed. I don't think she's gonna make it out of this season, but
no, neither do I, but we can hold on to some hope.
Sadly, very sad.
Would be nice if nobody had to die.
I know.
Everyone's gonna get Rogue One, and Cassian's gonna have to watch everyone get Rogue One, and then on the beaches of Scarif, he's gonna be like, wow, it's happening again. Damn it. Everyone I know is dying.
I guess it is my turn now.
Yeah, so. It's like, oh great, this must be what it feels like to die. Everyone else around me was dying. Yeah, but Dedra is just such a great character, and it's like, even though she's not great because of the fascism, there is still that complexity, because, as a lot of people have pointed out, there's a lot of times where we root for her, we love her, we're like, yes, girl, you're doing great, and then she goes and does something like torture Bix, and it's like, can you not do that, please?
Yeah. Immediately no. We don't like the success anymore.
Yeah, it's like, we do not vibe with torture. We do vibe with breaking that glass ceiling and getting shit done and being so much better than the men who work in your office that are annoying you and pissing you off.
Oh, yes. That is the reason, why I first fell in love with her as a character. Again, I always feel like as a woman who's a fan, I have to stipulate, the ideology aside. But that was the reason, because during episode 4, literally the day before, I had an identical conversation in my office with my junior, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Here's some things that I've put forward. My peers kind of think I'm an idiot, but also think I'm competent, and they're trying to give me advice. And I was like, this is literally my life, down to popping Adderall and working all night. And I was like, she's so relatable as anyone who has worked in the corporate world in a very male dominated field. So it's rough. It's it's hard. It's you don't want to relate to them.
And she's still going through, even in the season 2 trailer, everyone's going through it, but that one moment of hers, and I wish we saw more of her in the trailer because, you know, you've brought up on TikTok, she has another outfit apparently. I want to see the other outfit.
But Denise Goff has teased it like 4 times, and I'm like, what is it? What is it? Part of me wonders. Yeah. So, you know, in the trailer, how there is the shot with their like ISB, their attendants, I think, but like here and ever like kind of dressed in the weird stormtrooper-esque armor.
Yeah.
I'm curious if that's where they're bringing in like Comp Force, which is a part of Comp Nor, and I'm curious, like she's behind them, and if that's what she's referring to as her new outfit. But I think it's something totally different. I hope it's like just something we don't expect to see. I would love it.
Yeah. Let Dedra look wonderful at some kind of party. Her and Mon Mothma at the same party. Just 2 women, badasses in their field, just going through it. And just looking fantastic while they do it. Just like, this is some crazy shit.
I feel like they would relate on that level. Like, ideologies, I feel like they would be like, yeah, we're surrounded by a bunch of stupid guys.
Yeah.
We're the only competition here.
Yeah. Because she's out there, like, Mana's out there getting heckled in the Senate, and Dedra is basically getting heckled, especially by Blevin. And Ben Bailey Smith is such a remarkable actor because I'm like, I adore your acting skills, and I want to kick Blevin in the face. Mm-hmm. He is a character that I'm like, I think that you're interesting, would not even want to hang out with your character for like 5 minutes. Dedra, I could spend a day with. We could just complain the whole day. Mm-hmm. Go to the spa. But Blevin, he would open his mouth and I'd walk away. Because he is that guy. And it's just, you know, she's out here doing his job, doing it better than him, and he's like, actually, you shouldn't be doing that. I know more than you. And I'm like, actually, you suck.
It's really interesting, too, that she directly calls out. When you're in that situation and there is kind of that weird dynamic, it's really hard to be like, hey, I see what you're doing. But when she's like, I didn't come here for career advice. Like, that's actually such a badass moment that I don't think like people realize, because especially as women, most of the time we're conditioned to be like, yeah, thanks. Like, I'm just not going to pay attention to it. But she's like, didn't come here for that. Came here to do my job.
Yeah.
So
maybe he could learn a thing or two from her, because I think he could benefit from maybe listening to Dedra and doing his job.
Exactly.
I mean, he's the one losing sectors, and they're going to Dedra. So like, you know, if she doesn't know what she's doing, he knows even less.
Mm-hmm. Well, and he is too busy when things start to get contentious between the two. He doesn't, their reactions are completely, they have disparate reactions. Dedra digs into the work and is able to again piece together that, okay, this is actually rebel activity. Whereas Levin's too busy focusing on what Dedra's doing wrong, ostensibly, and he's like filing these, you know, reports, and then this whole thing explodes in front of the ISB. It's like 2 very disparate reactions. There was a great opportunity there. Levin could have dug in and done kind of the same thing. Instead, he's like, no, I'm just gonna hate. But he's a great actor. I love him.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And you know, bringing up Dedra, what Dedra says, like, about the artificially constructed like barriers of our sectors, and it's just like, wait a minute, like, are you talking shit about Partagas? And she's like, I mean, I'm right. I'm not talking, like, she wasn't talking shit. She was just being correct. Like, the rebels aren't going to be like, oh, well, no, this is a completely different sector. We can't be doing stuff here. It's like, no, we know that it's going to be even more difficult because they only pay attention to their sectors. Whereas Dedra's like, actually, this wasn't in my sector, but here, coordinated rebel activity across basically all of our sectors in this room. And I feel like, you know, a lot of the people that she works with do not like her because she's been there for about a year, right? And she's doing all of their jobs better than they are.
Mm-hmm. She's seeing it through a different lens. Like when I line, she's like, "Do you really think the rebels care about lines on maps?" And you're just like, "Oh," she just drops it so hard,
you're like,
and it's
okay,
yeah, that ruthless competency that you're rooting for. Because yeah, you're totally right. But again, then we find out an episode later that we don't want to be rooting for that.
yeah. But I love a morally complex character that you're like, yeah, in these situations, you're doing great. You're wonderful. I'm cheering for you. And others, you're like, ooh, actually, what you did there was really bad. And because they just feel more human to me. And that's the joy of watching Andor, is that all of these characters feel so human. And you have mostly that balance. Now, someone like Tim, who doesn't have that balance, I just do not like him from start to finish. I'm like, I blame you for everything that happens in this show. But
like, yeah, absolutely, he's horrible. The thing that I find interesting with Tim is, and this kind of ties into like a lot of Dedra's issues, which I think are multifaceted, and it's I feel like a lot of her, not like I'm, dismissing all of her bad things, but I'm saying the reason why she's the way she is like really lack of like self-confidence, self-worth, etc. But it's really interesting because when she's interrogating Bix and she's talking about Tim, she's like, "Oh, your colleague," like it doesn't even occur to her that they might have been dating, because that's not something that Dedra would ever think of in her own life. And I would assume that at this point, like, yeah, the ISB was on Ferrix, but I would assume that they would have more intel on what that relationship actually was. But she's just like, "Oh, colleague," like it doesn't even occur to her. And I love that.
Yeah.
Like that is her verbiage says so much in the show.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It's just a brilliant character. So great. Please be okay in season 2, Dedra. You're gonna be going through it, but aren't we all? And I need to see her like destroy the men in her office, but also she is such a threat to the rebellion that I'm like, I also don't want you to succeed in doing that. Yeah,
I think it's really interesting, her dynamic with Krennic, obviously, because he's technically above her, but she is probably correct about many things we have seen.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be, it's interesting because I really want to see, like, was the whole Ferrix riot her fault? Technically, it was under her command, but it was Captain Tico who, like, gave the orders, or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
He gave the orders to, like, fire on the crowd. It wasn't her being like, yes, strategy. He was, like, popping off by himself. So I'm curious to see the reaction to the Ferrix riots, if she's able to be like, no, they didn't listen to me. Not really my fault. Yeah. Even though she probably feels like I actually feel like a massive failure, because I would feel like a massive failure. Even if it wasn't
so would I. Yeah. Because like, because we know that Captain Tigo, who is, as Charles referred to him, the one that threw the blanket over B and kicked him, and I was like, yeah, he is the enemy. He feels very much more in Blevins' pocket. So if he feels like Blevins' place has been taken by Dedra, I feel like he's more likely to try and sabotage her. Like, build up that trust. Like, oh yeah, like, I'm on your side, we're working together, we want the same things. And then he's like, actually, no, because you are in the space that I think Blevin should be in. And that's, that's my thoughts on how, again, I'm looking for a reason to blame it all on Captain Tico because I do not like him.
It truly was. He was the one who made the bad decisions. You don't hurt the good droid. You don't hurt the little cute good droid.
Yeah, exactly. You don't do that in front of the guy who is protecting that droid, while that man is a wall of a man holding a brick made of the ashes of the woman that just told him to fight the Empire. Like, series of bad decisions on a level that only I think a man could achieve.
Yep, you phrased that perfectly. Yeah, series of bad decisions that only a man could achieve.
Yeah. And that's not meant to be like man hating, only slightly, only a little bit. Because especially in the corporate world that Dedra, Blevin, Tigo, and all of these other characters are from, it is inherently patriarchal. So they will try to do that thing to subvert a woman's authority, throw shade at a woman, even though she's done nothing wrong. We also see it in the Star Wars fandom itself with the way that every single time something goes wrong, Kathleen Kennedy ends up getting the blame. And I'm like, do I think she's a perfect person? No. Does she deserve 90% of the hate she gets? Also, no. Like,
she's a producer. She has nothing to do with 90% of this.
Yeah. It's like it's like you are asking her to do something that is not her job, aggressively not her job. Like, and it's oftentimes from people who don't know what the job in question entails.
Exactly.
And it's like, or those men who think that they could play a better game of tennis than like Serena Williams. I'm like, it's just all that. That's all the same type of energy that they exude, because they're like, oh yeah, obviously a man would be better here because he's a man. He's inherently more qualified to do any job because he's a man.
Yep.
Which we're not going to get into the whole, DEI discussion and all of that, because I could rant about that for 7 hours probably, and we don't have the time for that. But I also think that characters like Supervisor Grandy, who's the only other female ISB officer that we see in that room, she very much seems to be trying a little bit more to be like one of the guys without realizing that she is not benefiting by putting herself in that position, right? Because like, if one of the men was being like intentionally vague, as Partagaz called it, would he have been that, like, oh, never mind, I'm reassigning it, would he have reacted that way to any of them? Or would he have been like, I'm going to take this off your plate, I'm going to give that to somebody else, whereas it felt a little bit more targeted. And it wasn't like it because, she tried to be, one of the guys, ignoring the fact that she also does not benefit from the system that she is working in.
Yeah, 100%. And the way Dedra behaves in ISB and the way she does actively back against the misogyny, it really does tie into the thematic element of Andor, which is everyone has their own rebellion. And it's interesting because she plays outside the lines of traditional, as Partagaz says, like the ISB playbook, literally the lines. She does do that. And it's fascinating for somebody who wants to use a structure like the Empire to exert like power and control, that she's willing to just like go off and challenge not only her coworkers, but the way things are traditionally done. And I love that because it's so contradictory.
Yeah. Well, even the one time that she does like quote from the ISB mission statement verbatim, as Partagaz says, he's like, that's not actually what we are doing. That's what we tell people that we're doing. And she's like, I feel like that clicked something in her mind where she was like, oh, so as long as I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing, it like I can still subvert and dance around all of the rules and still essentially do what I want in achieving that goal, which is insanely intelligent. And I only realized that on my last watch, like the other day. I was like, wait a minute. Because it clicked something in my mind, and I was like, oh, Dedra realized this ages ago. I'm so far behind her.
Yeah, it's really good at identifying opportunities, like how she utilized Cord to request access to the records she needed, even though you shouldn't be able to do that. She's like, well, technically it was within the bounds.
Yeah.
So it was, she's very, very opportunistic. Again, something that is terrifying on the, like, in an Imperial, especially somebody who is.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really terrifying when the enemy is that competent, because it's just like, oh, we could use your brain power over in the rebellion, but that's not what you're here for.
Exactly. You're here to ruin lives. Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're very pretty and you're very smart. So it's like, good for you. You're doing great. You look fantastic while being smarter than everyone else in the room. But why do you have to be on that side?
Right. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Because if she's figuring out like all of this stuff about the rebel activity, imagine how good she would be at coordinating the rebel activity.
You're not wrong. Yeah, but, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. However, the rebellion is set, well, right now there are, again, this is a morally gray show, and so there are parts that are selfish. But the rebellion and the idea and the ideology behind it, that is inherently selfless, whereas the Empire is selfish. And I don't think Dedra would ever let herself to that level of business and altruism, because there's power in that.
Yeah. And it's like, just even like being part of the Empire, like, oh, I'm part of something bigger than me, but also I can like achieve things that a lot of people wouldn't think that they'd be able to achieve in the rebellion, you know, because it's like, well, if if I go to fight the Empire, I'll probably die. I'll be an outcast if I live. I'll be hunted down, right? And so it takes a lot to be able to look at that power in the face, especially from a character like, I'm going to say Mon, who has had that power. And she's like, I'm willing to give all that up to do the right thing. And it's just like, yeah, even in Andor, she's a little bit morally not perfect. She's doing money laundering. That is her plot line. It's like, hey, what are you doing right now? Just some money laundering.
Cool. No big deal. No big deal.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And like she's actively getting people involved in her money laundering. Tay has no idea what's going on. He has the plausible deniability of, I don't know. I was just doing what she asked me to. She's my friend. And I think she's pretty. Like, he's like, are you going to blame me? I'm just a guy. Pretty friend asks me to do thing. I do the thing.
I'm literally just a guy. Just a guy.
Just a guy. Just a guy. Yeah. And
yeah. Well, it's interesting too, because for somebody who, because like obviously people want various forms of power, right? And that gives you various abilities, etc. If we were to look at Dedra, the scope of the rebellion, there's like a combination there. Dedra in the scope of the rebellion, there's no clear path for her, right?
Yeah.
Whereas it's in the ISB, it's very structural. She can plan, this is my career, XYZ. Yeah. I will be able to achieve this, and then I don't have to think about myself. So
yeah,
it's really easy just to like utilize that as your identity, to be like, oh yeah, I'm a supervisor. And that's what I'm, and she doesn't have to really consider like, what are my beliefs and values? Because like
they're just it's just kind of like, here's what you believe, here's what you do, and she's like, perfect, cool, now I can focus on the other things.
Exactly.
Right, because it does take a lot of energy to think about what you truly believe, and you know, how you go about living your life in a way that where you live according to your values. And if you take all of that off the table, your life is so much easier. The second you start thinking about your identity, it becomes a lot more complicated.
100%.
And you start like, and the second guessing that you put yourself through is insane, to say the least. It's it's just, it's so much to just deal with when you're like, yeah, I know who I am. I'm not going to think about it because I am who I am because this is who I've been told that I am, right? And she was probably really young when the Empire took over as well. I don't think, do we have a canonical year of birth for Dedra?
Nope.
Okay.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Not
Hopefully we get one because I feel like she's probably in her like 20s or so. So by the time, like, if that's true, by the time she would have probably started thinking about her identity, that would have been around the time of the Clone Wars and the formation of the Empire. Whereas other characters, like for instance, Mon, was already a politician at that point in time. She knew what she believed. She knew who she was, right? And trying to figure out who you are while there's a war going on and fascism is looming, it's a lot more difficult because you just have all of that propaganda pushed on you. And you know, that was even something that was a thing that existed in the era of the Republic as well, was all of that propaganda, especially during the war. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's with Compor, and it's really interesting. Yeah. Denise Goff has talked like it, and I really hope that we get more of it. But she's like, yeah, Tony Gilroy told me about Dedra's backstory, and like it's really tragic and traumatic. And it's fascinating too to know that she comes from the enforcement division before ISB, and I think it takes a very specific personality to want to go that route. So I'm curious to see if we get any of that backstory. I would love, again, that doesn't excuse her actions, but I would love the explanation and more of like the machinations, kind of the thinking behind it.
Yeah. And
there is thinking, because you throw yourself into your work, you don't have to think about it.
Yeah. And like, again, backstory I think is super important because, as you said, even though it's not meant to like excuse a character's actions, it does shine light on context and things. It's like, how did you get to this point? How did you become this person? Right? Like, so much of amazing characters, they become more amazing when you realize what they went through and how did they end up the way that they are. Like, when I was growing up, I watched the original trilogy first. I did not really care about Darth Vader. Then I watched the prequels and I watched Anakin become Darth Vader. And now I'm like, oh, this is actually really freaking tragic, right?
Yeah.
And so adding that context is so important to humanize the character as well. And that is just something that Andor has done so well with most of their characters, I think. So I would say all of their characters pretty much.
Yeah, they feel like real people. Like it's not, again, it's not like a Luke Skywalker where you're like really admire your bravery, but you're dealing with real people who make these morally great decisions because people are morally great.
Yeah.
And it makes it so much more interesting. Even though we know Dedra is full-blown fascist and not so much morally good. There's a lot going on there.
It's she's such a great character though. Just overall, like, well written, perfectly portrayed. Just, she is one of those people that I would hate to know in real life, but at the same time there would be those moments where I'm like, can't believe I'm agreeing with you here, but broken clock right twice a day, I guess. And like, I can't remember what it was. I think it was the situation that happened over the weekend with Zelensky. And I read a post and I didn't realize who wrote it. I was like, yeah. And then I looked and it was by Liz Cheney. And I was like, I hate that I'm agreeing with you, but you're right in this instance.
Occasionally,
just keep scrolling. Occasionally it happens.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel good.
No. It's very uncomfortable.
It's like, why?
not as uncomfortable as the Dedra Cyril dynamic, which I feel like we have to talk about.
Yes.
Intertwined.
Yes. He's such a weird little guy. I don't think he knows how to speak to a woman. The only woman that he knew before meeting Dedra was his mom.
And that's a whole nother situation. That is a whole other situation.
He's yeah, but let's have your thoughts on Dedra and Cyril, because it's not a comfortable situation at all.
I have so many thoughts. First of all, in my most recent rewatch, one of the things I noticed, the reason, again, it's super awkward between the two, both in the interrogation room, which he thinks is a conversation, and then also the two times they are counter each other outside of the ISB. But they actually, although they're having a conversation, they're not actually addressing each other in the conversation. It's fascinating because some things where he's like, I know you want what I want. And she's like, you're out of your mind. Like, that's not her saying, no, I don't. You don't know me. It's fascinating. They are having two entirely separate conversations. Yeah. And I love it because it adds to this like weird dynamic. I think I am so curious to see where it goes, especially because you can tell like clearly Dedra has never had any sort of romantic relationship. I think Denise Goff also confirmed that. And like emotional intimacy is not anything that she, first of all, has time for. Second of all, is going to be capable of if she is like in ruthless pursuit of trying to like bump her career back up again. And I don't think it's anything she wants. I think she would be like disgusted at herself. Yeah. For like having that as a weakness. And so it's just a fascinating dynamic. And even after he saved her life, she's like, I should say thank you, but she doesn't actually thank him. She doesn't. I love it. It's so messed up.
Yeah, I should say thank you. And he's just like, and then nothing.
You don't have to. It's fine. And it's like, she never does. And I love that. Like, that's brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant writing. Like, it tells you so much about a character.
Yeah. It's just, because they're both so obviously awkward around each other because they don't know how to have that conversation where they're actually like speaking to each other like normal human beings. She's interrogating him. He's like, this is a great conversation. This is the greatest conversation I've ever had. She's just like, I'm interrogating you. What are you doing? And he's like, I'm looking for Cassian Andor.
It is, there's a lot there. Yeah. And it's fascinating because Dedra puts, as we see, all of her energy and effort into her job, right? And a job, while she's working for the Empire, the concept of a job is amoral, right? Yeah. Cyril has that. The only time Cyril actually does match that intensity and energy, but it's in pursuit of justice and his ideology. And so they definitely have the same, like they're going on the same path, if you will, of this, like, again, I always say like the relentless pursuit of something. It's completely different. One is morality, one is the amoral. And I'm curious to see the intersection of the two. Yeah. So, yeah. It'll be interesting.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Because they're both, I just feel that Denise and Kyle have such good energy together that, you know, I'm like, I'm so fascinated. Every time the two of them are on the screen together, I'm like, this is going to go really awkwardly, but it's going to be fun to watch. Both of them probably leave every conversation like, I don't know what just happened. And it feels weird.
It's one of those things that you're like, I kind of, you know, like, I know there are people, like, I'm kind of really rooting for them to, like, find something in one another. Because, like, it's actually kind of, like, I don't know, just the concept of two awkward people, like, they're around like late 30s, 40s-ish.
Yeah.
Denise Goff was 40 when she filmed. Yeah, they were like 40 when they filmed it. But the idea of them like finding whatever sort of relationship, if there is one, I think like that's actually really cute. And that's a new concept. We haven't seen that on the Imperial side. But then you're also like, oh God, I don't want to cheer for that, but I do, but I feel weird.
Yeah, it's similar to how I feel about because in the trailer for season 2, that bit where Krennic is putting on the smolder, I know the shape of Genevieve O'Reilly's face, and I think he's trying to put it on Mon. And simultaneously, I'm like, this could be really hot, but also stay away from her. Get a job. Get a job, stay away from her. But also, a point could be made. And that's how I feel about Dedra in this series.
I mean, Andor is really good looking. Like, he's very good looking. It's hard.
Yeah. This show has really attractive men in it, and I'm like, this is unnecessary. Tony Gilroy, stop putting handsome men in front of me. I'm trying to watch Genevieve O'Reilly here.
It's so true. And man. Yeah. It's in a good way.
It's gonna be a good way. It's gonna be a journey in season 2.
Yeah.
I'm scared. I'm so scared for this season.
I just know like clearly we know from Cassian's favor in Rogue One and what he's lost everything, everything he's done for the rebellion. He has lost a lot. He has sacrificed a lot. And I don't want to see the results of those sacrifices because it's going to involve a lot of characters who we like, but also I do want to see the results because that's part of the story, that's the journey, and that's what makes him a phenomenal character.
Yeah. Damn, the Andor Rogue One supercut is going to be traumatic to watch.
Oh,
I need binge watch Andor and then Rogue One.
I need to know what we call the trilogy. Andor 1, Andor season 2, and Rogue One. It's like, what is that now? That's something.
Yeah, it's because it all ties into it's all one cohesive story, and like with the Mask of Fear, like the trilogy that starts with the Mask of Fear, it's the Reign of the Empire trilogy, and I do feel like it's going, like the last book is going to end around the time that we first see at least Mon in Andor. Right, which is close enough to the first time that we see Saw, but it wouldn't make real sense for it to overlap. Maybe we'll get to see Mon like start some money laundering stuff. And she's like, this is what I'm doing. And it's just like, you do realize that that's called money laundering, right? And she's just like, that's a crime. I was like, you're committing a crime.
We respect a side hustle. That's what it is. Mon's side hustle.
Yeah, money laundering.
Love it.
Parents just like, I don't know what that means. There's no money in the washing machine. I just figured out where the washing machine is, and I looked. There's no money in there. I thought she was hiding money.
Yep, that is a man who would not know anything about a washing machine. 100% agree.
Or money laundering.
No, he would never. No. Except he definitely is going to get in trouble for it. It's going to be great.
He's going to get in so much trouble. And he's going to be like, what? I told her I wasn't doing the gambling again. I need Dedra and Mon to interact in season 2.
I could see it happening. I need it. Whatever party thing Ben Mendelsohn is at, like, Krennic and Mon are at, ostensibly, like, theoretically, Dedra there too. Although Krennic is dressed in his, like, director ISB stuff, but it's fancy. He has, like, these weird flats nobody has seen before. Like, we're like, what rank is that? We think it's, like, a fancy dress thing. So it'll be interesting. But I want a new Dedra look.
Yes. Because, I mean, your current Dedra cosplay is already literally perfect, according to Denise Goff. And I just know that you would cook with the other one too.
Well, like, I just want more than one thing to wear.
That's true. You did look really good in London, though. The drip, I was like, just wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you. Cosplaying as Dedra is literally the only time I felt confident in myself. And I'm like, I don't like the fact that it's a fascist kid. Again, that aside, I'm like, okay, I feel good. I feel good. Every other time I'm like, please don't look at me. But then I'm like, okay, this is fine. I'm okay with the tension in this one.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Andy Serkis was also really excited to see you at Celebration, which, as he should, that was an insane time. Andy Serkis wanting a picture with you as Dedra.
That was unreal. Yeah. I have it as my phone background. And one of my coworkers grabbed it and he's like, what is this? I'm like, don't even look. And he's like, wait, is that Andy Serkis? I'm like, yeah. He's like, is that you? I'm like,
yeah.
I don't know. We don't need to go into it. Like, we don't need to go into
it. Andy Serkis is a fan of mine.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's actually awkward because like my job is actively like fighting against fascism. So I'm like, maybe we shouldn't like, let's just not dig into that too deeply. We're just gonna leave it. Just gonna leave it, guys.
Dedra's the very thing you swore to destroy.
No, it's so true. It's so true. But then it's like I am her just without the ideology. But it's so true.
Yeah. So just going through it in a male-dominated field.
I know. I wonder. I mean, she's like, because as Denise has said, she's going full-blown fascist in Andor season 2. I'm really curious how bad it's gonna get. Terrified, but also, again, it's one of those things where you're just like, this is something we haven't seen before. We haven't really seen a Imperial charge. So, yeah, it's an interesting question, but
it's gonna be tragic.
She's gonna make it out of there, but it's fine. It's fine.
It's gonna be tragic to watch though, because I'm gonna be like, I was rooting for you, and now this. Thank God it's not gonna be at like 3 o'clock in the morning though, because I just be like emotionally unstable. Having it at like 9 p.m. it's gonna be, or around 9 p.m. it's gonna be so much easier. I'll be like, oh yes, every Tuesday I get to watch my little Star Wars movie, because that's basically how long I'll be watching for.
Yeah.
Onto the internet to scream.
It's gonna be so much. Like the 3 a.m. drops were so hard though, because like I would just stay up all night and I would be inevitably crying because it like tugs on your heartstrings in so many different ways. And then I'd be like, oh, and I have to go to the office tomorrow and like be a functional human being. Get my own Dedra on. Like
like, hi, I haven't slept that much, but I'm here. We can do this. Not real. I need a nap.
We're just here and gutted, but it's fine. We're ready to work.
Yeah. I'm debating whether to be like, hey, I can't work on Wednesdays during this 4-week span. Tuesday nights and Wednesdays, can't do it. Because I have Andor and then emotional recovery from the trauma of Andor.
Yep. I think that's completely fair. I think that's fair.
I was saying to one of my coworkers, I was like, the last time that I consistently saw my therapist was when I was going through Andor trauma week after week. I was like, that was the last time I went consistently, like once a week. So like, hey, I'm back. It's Andor again.
Not a bad thing to process those feelings. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah. And I don't know. I just, as somebody whose favorite character has the most plot armor of anyone in this show, I feel bad for everyone else. Who's just like, this is my favorite character. The people who are like, oh, like Saw or Cassian, that's who they're here for. I'm like, look, you already knew how this is gonna end. My favorite character doesn't even have a canonical death date. And then we have all those characters that it's just like, hey, they only appear in this show and you never hear their names spoken again. And it's like, oh, great. Delightful. What does that mean?
Mine's in shows, movies, etc. Like you're good. You're good. But I think in some ways, though, I think it's almost harder to watch that because you know how much this woman has gone through. Like,
yeah, she's just gonna keep going through more.
Yeah, she's just, yeah. I feel like there's gonna be a Mon crash out happening soon.
It's gonna happen weekly. Like after the episodes are done, I'm just gonna be screaming on the internet. Hasn't Mon been through enough? Hey, what's up, demons? It's me, ya gal, Senator Mothma. We're back.
We're here. We're thriving.
Yeah, we're doing our best. I don't know how I'm going to emotionally handle it. And if they give us the premiere in Japan, I'm going to be like, so.
I won't be able to do anything the next day. Like, I will not be able to function.
Yeah.
Like,
I will go, and then I will lay on the floor of my Airbnb, staring at the ceiling, being like,
can I join you on the floor? That's my question. Because I will be doing the same thing. Yeah. I feel like there were going to be a lot of us.
It's going to be a party where we lay on the floor and try to stop crying at some point. Because it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt so much.
I can't believe we're almost here, though.
We're almost there. It's as of filming this, it's 51 days. So in less than celebration will be finishing in like not that long.
Yeah,
like we haven't even got it yet, and it's just like, hey, they're taking it away from you, and I'm like, yeah. It does suck that we do only have 3 days this year, but yeah.
There'll be 3 jam days.
3 jam-packed days. Once the full schedule drops, I'm like, spreadsheet, building the itinerary. No one is telling me anything. And it's like, what if 2 panels we want to see are at the same time? I'm like, divide and conquer.
There you go.
We must get all of the news.
Yes. This is why we have a whole network of fans.
Exactly. Like when I missed the Lucasfilm showcase because I was hungover. And then it was like, Genevieve O'Reilly is on the stage right now. And I was like, and I'm not there. But then I got to be 12 feet away from her. So I was like, this is better. I don't remember any of it.
If it makes you feel any better, I have never, and I've gone to Star Wars Celebration since Orlando in 2017, 2016. I'm old. I have never once gotten into not just like the main panel for the Lucasfilm Showcase, but any of the overflow rooms either. Never once. So every single year, it's just me literally like in my hotel room or outside crying because that's like all of my friends are tweeting or texting me, and I'm like, I hope you're having fun.
It's just like, I'm living through you. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So this year we're manifesting so hard.
Yeah. And the Friday will be fun anyways, because that's the day of my panel. So I'm like, I'm just going to be so stressed for most of Friday. I'm going to be like, I can't do this. And it's just like, wait a minute. I can yap about Mon Mothma for an hour. It'll be easy. That's how I go about every single day. If I just tally up all the time I spend talking about her, it's more than an hour every day. We're good.
You are going to be fantastic. You're going to be fantastic.
Yeah. I'm really happy that they decided to bite with that one, because I was like, if they don't, it's fine. I'll be sad. But, just hearing about some of the people that didn't get panels, I'm like, oh, your panel would have been so great. And I'm like, now I feel even more pressure to just do really well.
No, I mean, like, your panel is great. You should
I'm
definitely
like,
take ownership of that idea. Like,
I'm like,
sound kind of amazing. Do you know who would
yeah,
want you to take ownership of that idea? Both Dedra and Juan would be like,
that is true. That is true.
yes, yeah,
Dedra would be like, you've done the work. You found all the links. Do it. And I'll be like,
exactly.
I'm scared of you, but yes.
Oh man, no, it's gonna be
Like,
great.
welcome to the University of Hannah on Chandrilla. This is your class about Mon Mothma.
I am excited. I will be there
totally
with bells on.
I'm very happy. I make the joke. I'm like, if people don't show up, I'll just cry.
Oh no,
but they're like, but no pressure.
No, there are so many people, and also there are so many Mon Mothma fans. Like, it was great meeting so many at Star Wars Celebration in London. I was like,
yeah,
these are amazing.
Yeah,
and it's so cool that, again, like with Andor, these characters who they're building out really first time.
Yeah,
it's cool to see the different people who are fans of them and identify with them.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Yeah, and you know, she does deserve her time in the spotlight, and it's very special to me that, you know, with Andor, they're like, yeah, this is a character that hasn't had that much. Let's give it to her. Let's give her what she really deserves, which I guess is a lot of pain and trauma. So we win, but we also lose. And it's just great to see, because we get those fun legacy characters and we get to build them up. And then we get just an amazing group of new characters that just works so well with them. And it's like, hey, how do you make a show this good? How do you make a show where I'm like, she's a fascist, but sometimes she's right. And I don't hate her.
Yeah. Exactly. That's just, writing is unparalleled.
Yeah.
Unparalleled.
I just pray they don't schedule some other Andor programming at the same time as my panel, because I'm like, that is how you split a vote, people. That's how you ruin my life.
No, I don't think they would. I think they realize.
Because I'm like, this is Andor programming unofficially, but hi. If Genevieve O'Reilly shows up, I'm running away with her.
I hope so. I hope that happens. We're manifesting this for you. Do you mind if I turn on my light? I didn't realize how dark it got.
No, go ahead. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah.
I was like, this got dark very fast. There we go. That's at least somewhat better.
Yeah. It's
yeah, we're excited.
Dedra's story is going to be painful this season. I just know it. Everyone's going to be going through it. The only person who, if they make it through season 2, is probably still going to be like, yeah, still living it up. Party life is Perrin, I fear. And that's going to be because he missed most of it because he was drunk. Which, it's not going to be great, because they're going to be like, where's your wife? And he's going to be like, she not here? Where did your wife go? Work?
She's doing the laundry. I think that's what.
I think she said something about money and the laundry, which I've never known her to do the laundry in our entire marriage. So I don't know what this means. Blevin's just like, what? And Dedra, I could just hear Dedra just being like, she's money laundering. How did you not figure this out?
I need it.
Blevin, Cloris, and Perrin like, oh, and Perrin's like, that's a crime though. I know that.
I know that much, and I'm about to be framed for it. Awesome.
And awesome. I know that my wife wouldn't do anything illegal because she's a goody two-shoes. And Mon's like, perfect. He is telling the truth in his mind, so they're probably still going to arrest him. but that's fine. Yep. He doesn't know what's going on. And that's for the best.
Indeed. Indeed.
He just feels like somebody who couldn't keep a secret. Yeah. Okay. So, why did you choose Dedra for our topic today?
Because obviously she's my favorite character. Passions on my side against standard deviation. I feel like, as I said, like I feel like I very much am her, to the extent where, again, it's a lot of like the same identical conversations that I've had and identical situations. And it's weird to see a character that I relate to so much. And it's really weird to see a character in a position of power in a male dominated field who also isn't like sexualized at the same time.
Yeah.
And I love that because that is like real life right there. And I like, again, as a person, she's really messed up. Like, we know there are a lot of issues there, but I'm just like, I hate the fact that I am you without fashion.
Yeah.
Like, I hate that, and I don't want to be like that. I want to, trust me, about therapy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just find her fascinating. I just think she is like the most fascinating character that we've had, and also the most terrifying.
Yeah, she's scary. She's really scary, and yeah, but it's like, it's very much that, hey, we're the same person, but we're also polar opposites. Exactly. And I love that dynamic that you have with her. And yeah, people can have dynamics with fictional characters. Everyone should know about my dynamic with Mon. Yeah. So, what are you most looking forward to in season 2 of Andor?
Is it bad? I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to. Okay. The main thing is I'm looking forward to a lot of the bureaucratic infighting in the ISB because we know Krennic is petty AF and he's like the epitome of a middle manager in the ISB.
Yeah.
I'm obviously going to have to see Tarkin. I'm just really looking forward to the dynamic of that. But then also, I really hope like the Gorman massacre was a big thing. That is basically what starts Mon. That's like the beginning of her journey, if you will.
Yeah.
And I really want to see that on both the Imperial side and the Rebellion side. So I'm really excited to see how they handle that.
Yeah. Yeah, even if we don't see it on screen, like, just knowing that we're getting to that point where Mon's like, you know what? F this. I'm gone. Because I feel like that was the big first step to her beginning to lose her faith in finding that diplomatic solution that is ultimately lost by essentially the end of Rogue One, where she says to Bail, whatever the others say, war is inevitable. Hearing those words come out of her mouth after knowing that she has tried for decades to prevent war sucks. And I'm like, yeah, so getting to that point is going to be one of those things that I'm like, how do I go through this and watch her go through this?
But that's, again, that multifacetedness, if you will, that's why she's such a great character, because it's not, she's not like, we're not doing war. She's like, well, if this is what we have to do for the greater good of humanity to, free the galaxy from this oppression, willing to do it. And that's, again, the nuances of the characters is so good.
Yeah, it's just so great. Your favorite and least favorite original Andor characters. We all know who your favorite is. It's Dedra.
Okay, yes. Favorite is obviously Dedra. Besides that, I actually love, again, another really weird character who I have like an entire video essay on that I still have to film. I love Cyril. I think there's so much there. He is, Tony Gilroy and both Kyle Solar have said, he is uninformed. And I'm curious to see what happens when he starts encountering, because it looks like there is some spying going. Like, I'm very, I firmly believe that like he's going to encounter the rebellion in some way, and I'm curious to see how he handles that ideology with his whole thing about justice, and especially when the Empire is so unjust, but also the rebellion isn't entirely just. So
yeah,
I love that. And my least favorite character is Perrin.
so real. So real.
I hate Perrin.
Because
I hate him.
Yeah. To me, if Cyril's uninformed, Perrin is complacent. Because Cyril is like, there are things here that aren't working. He doesn't know how to fix them. He doesn't have like the knowledge or the tools to be able to do that. But Perrin's just like, it hasn't affected me, so I don't care. Right? And to me, that's way worse, because that is really bad. How are you supposed to support your senator wife if you are complacent in the system that hates her and is willing to hunt her down for her ideals? Like, why are you friends with Sly Moore, dude? You think she's fun? Have you seen her?
She's literally hanging out physically next to the Emperor. It's just like, also Perrin gives the biggest weaponized incompetency vibes.
Yeah.
Like he just everything about him, I'm just like, you are the worst type of man. And so I'm on your team with the Perrin hate. I'm ready.
Yeah. Yeah, like, you know, and I've acknowledged that like my feelings for Perrin have become more complex, but at the end of the day, I'm still like, I do not like you, and that is the core of this. Like, you come and live my life. I will take over as Mon's spouse, and I will do a better job day one. I will do so much better than you. She won't have to cry anymore. She won't feel alone and under siege in her own home. Like,
I see nothing wrong with this. I see nothing wrong.
I think I'd do great as Mon's wife. Now, Perrin would probably get fired from my job. And my job isn't even that hard at the end of the day. He'd do fine with the talking portion. It's the rest of it. Because I serve alcohol, and I just feel like he'd be like, wait a minute, I just need to taste this to make sure it's right. Chugs half of it down. And
he's the bartender who's like taking shots while he's them out.
Yeah. I understand the urge. Sometimes I'm like, damn, I could go for that exact drink right now, but I don't do it. Perrin does not have that impulse control.
No.
He would get fired so fast. Yeah. And what are your favorite things about Mon Mothma?
I have so many. I love her so much. I think if I'm trying to pinpoint one thing, it is her extraordinary grace under tremendous pressure.
Yeah.
She has, especially in Andor season 1, she has the most to lose. She is, I mean, not just her life, but she is basically supporting and funding the rebellion at that time, even with the Aldhani heist.
Yeah.
She is incredible. I mean, is right under the Emperor's literal watch. She's being surveyed like everywhere, there's surveillance, and she is still so incredibly graceful and smart and brilliant just under that level of pressure. And I'm like, how are you not freaking out? Like, and I love her scene where she is talking with Tay and she's just like, smile, like,
just keep smiling.
She's smart. She's just a smart, incredible woman who I'm like, I wish I could be that steady with that much pressure on me.
Yeah.
I don't know how she does it.
Yeah. I love the bit where she's telling Tay to smile, because it's just the women in male fields meme.
Yes. Yeah. No, most of the time it's guys being like, you'd be so much prettier if you smiled.
If you'd smile. Just like, Tay, stop looking confused. Just smile.
Smile. I love it. She's just so fantastic. Also, like, does she ever not play? Like, her outfit.
That's so true. Even like the classic OG that people are like, it looks boring. I'm like, nah, she still slays. Put the Revenge
yeah.
of the Sith, put the Revenge of the Sith scenes back, because her outfits in those were insanely cool, actually.
They were so good. I'm like, why did we miss that? Like, why did put it back in for the 20th anniversary?
Please, I will cheer in the cinema.
Yes.
Just the detail and the way that, like, I feel with a lot of the things that Mon wears in like her more like classic wardrobe, like pre-Andor, it's one of those, it's some of those things that not everyone can carry it off, but she does phenomenally, because she's like, I'm gonna go put this on and I'm gonna look great, and everyone's going to listen to me when I talk. Right? It's just, for her, it's more armor than just clothes, because she has to keep that hidden. I did this whole video in the Mask of Fear countdown, and I want to talk a little bit about it during my panel, but essentially it's the way that she reveals certain parts of her skin in Andor, and what is revealed and when. It's the weirdest bit that I have to talk about, because I'm like, are people gonna think that I've been staring at her shoulders too much? Am I gonna come off like a weird, sketchy Victorian man?
No, that's the kind of thing people love. Like, that's what we want to dig into. And also, that's the stuff that like the writers have done for, like, everything is very intentional in Andor.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff. I mean, we being like all of the fandom, we want people who are picking that up.
Yeah. So it's probably gonna happen. It might only be like a 5-10 minutes or so in the hour that I have, but it'll be fun. And then I can always expand on it later and add more. But thank you so much for joining us today. Is there anything else we want to say about Dedra?
I mean, I think I have said not all of my things, but I have just I still adore her, and I still and I still hope good things for her, but also, like, please don't, like, I hope that there's like a solid end there, but I'm really excited to see where it goes. And that's it. I just love her. Again, ideology aside, thank you so much for letting me come on and chat about her.
Oh, of course. Yeah, no, it's so funny, because I was like, if I'm gonna do this, and I had like a list of people, and I was like, oh yeah, and in my head I was like, this is what this person's gonna pick, and I was just like, next to your name I was like, Dedra, and then question mark in pencil, and then once you're like Dedra, I was like, okay, erase the question mark. I knew it.
I am always down that Dedra. Always down.
Yeah. She's just so much fun to talk about. And she's just so much fun to be like, you know, sometimes I agree with you. And then the rest of the time it's like, actually, your ideology sucks. And you shouldn't think that way.
Yeah.
Why do you have to be like this?
You're right about this.
Just be a good person.
Very much the wrong way.
If you want people to find you on social media, where would you like for them to go?
Oh, you can find me at mara.j.skywalker on TikTok, or mara.j.skywalkers on Instagram, because for some reason I'd saved the other one under an old username, so there are multiples of us on Instagram.
Delightful. Awesome. And for Mothma updates and the Mothma net, it is Mothma updates on most platforms. And then for me personally, it's Bejeweled Mothma, and it has been for a while. It will probably remain that way for a while, because I have a problem. Panel, as far as I know, is still 4 to 5 on the fan stage on the Friday of Celebration. It's going to be a lot of fun. For people who can't make it, at least one person in the room will be recording it, and it will be put on YouTube.
I'll record
If Genevieve O'Reilly walks in, I will be dying on camera.
I don't want you to die, but I want this so badly for you.
Yeah,
so badly.
it would be wonderful. And I just think if she heard that there was a Mon Mothma panel, she would feel really good about herself, as she should. She'd be like, wow, there's a panel about my character. I need Genevieve O'Reilly to know how loved she is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I will be there filming it. So once this happens, because we're manifesting this for you.
Yeah.
We're manifesting it.
It will. It will happen. I will get to meet Genevieve O'Reilly. Yeah. Because I'm still figuring out the whole schedule for the countdown. I know that this is going to be posted this episode is going to be posted like the first week of the countdown, but I don't remember what comes after it. I don't even remember which day this one is. So we'll figure that out. Eventually, I'll be able to be like, it's day something of the countdown, not today. But thank you, everyone, for watching, and may the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.